So today we're here at one of my other listings that has just sold, and we want to sit here and kind of talk to Kara today about the rental side of a property. We got this property sold, and while it took a little bit longer, as you can probably tell, the kitchen's a little dated, a little small, but it's a wonderful home. So Kara, what I want you to talk about, because you're the expert in this matter, is what do people look for from a rental standpoint? We were chatting earlier before we got on the video, and there's certain things that people don't look at and that is not much of an emphasis when it comes to the rental side and when it comes to selling. So can you talk about that a little bit for us?
So when sales, it's a little different. In a rental, people, it's not their forever home, and they know they're not going to be there for long term. So they're able to look past if it's a smaller kitchen or it's a little outdated, because as long as things are clean and they work well, it works for them. And that's all they really at that point care about. But just like this kitchen, it's got lovely cabinets in it. It's not the worst I've ever seen. So It's going to be a great rental property.
How much would that matter? I mean, obviously not talking about a rehaul, but does it even matter to go paint the cabinets, change out the appliances? Does that even matter enough to actually affect the rental value?
Some of it does. Okay. If you have a lot of outdated stuff and things are really outdated, like 20 years, you might want to think about maybe putting a new fridge in there. That would attract a tenant, because those things are very important. So
that's probably more of the side what we're looking at is more for attracting actual tenants from a vacancy standpoint, less of maybe the value what you're going to get. Because
you definitely do not want to overhaul a property and spend a lot on that. What you want to focus on is make sure it's clean, the walls are painted, there's not a lot of holes, because if a tenant comes into the property and they see it's not taken care of, they're not going to want to take care of it. So those things are the things that matter.
That's a good point. You don't think about the side of their mentality of if they see a really, really fresh new home, less likely to want to go ding up the walls or something of that nature. Do you mind talking about like a home like this? This is a 3-2, 1,600 square foot, good neighborhood. Everything's good on the home. Everything's newer in the sense of like HVAC, hot water, all that stuff. What is an average home like this going in a rental standpoint from a market standpoint?
So in this area right now, the rentals you have a little bit more of a demand. So there are more rentals on the property. So you want to make sure that this rental probably is between $2,000 and $2,200.
Okay.
And go from there and start from that price point.
That's a good number. Here, I think probably one of the biggest things people are scared about is the eviction process. We all see the stories. We all see the headlines of people squatting, you can't get them out, and then they end up ruining your house. Talk to us about the eviction process. Is it easy? Is it hard? And what do you as a property manager do to help with that process?
Yeah. So unfortunately, that does happen sometimes. You have people that might go through a hard time, they lose their job or they get injured. We've had that happen. And it's good to have a property manager to detach yourself emotionally from that. And what we do to help with that process is after they don't pay rent, we do give a 3-day notice, and we post that to them right away. And if they don't pay at that time, we actually have a attorney on retainer. So as a professional property manager, we're going to be able to get that tenant out a lot faster. The process is about a 45-day process. And it is a legal process that you have to look out for, that you can't just kick someone out of the property or you'll get in trouble. So
how many times are you seeing that? I hate to put you on the spot in that sense, but how many times are you having to see that process actually play itself fully out?
Well, not actually a lot. It's because if you do your due diligence in getting that person in there, as far as all county, we have about a 10-point system that we check. We have background checks. We have employment verification. We check their bank statements. They all have to apply. Every person in that home has to apply over 18. So we know who's in that property, and we make sure that the formula we do actually gets the right person in there. So if you do that ahead of time and you just don't take anybody that comes and you check them, then it helps with that to not have that in the end.
Yeah. Is it be safe to say that probably a lot of the times you're hearing about those horror stories or people renting to own or renting themselves and maybe not having that due diligence process?
Yeah, and they do get emotionally attached, and they might feel sorry for somebody, or they know someone down the street, like, oh, I think they'll be fine. And then it's just not fine, and then you're kind of stuck in a situation. So you always have to make sure that you get the right person in that property.
Absolutely. Kara, one of the big things we were talking about was rent demand, and you were talking to me about with like a property like this, with it has storage and it has the ability, no HOA, the ability to maybe park RVs and cars and all that stuff here. So I just want to get on that topic now. What is rent demand like right now, and specifically Bay County?
Yeah. So there's a lot of military here. We, especially with the Tyndall redoing their infrastructure. So we're getting a lot of demand for military, which with a house like this, like you said, you can put an RV back here, and there's no HOA, and that's what a lot of people are looking for. And there's also we rent a lot with HOA, and the rent demand is high as long as it's priced properly,
Right.
and it's clean. You actually will get a lot of renters.
Okay. And then just to wrap things up, the last thing I want to touch on is with property managers. Obviously, y'all handle the whole point of hiring a property manager, not only to get someone in the property, but then also to handle the stuff
Yes.
that they can answer the calls.
Yes.
So talk to me about that process, what that looks like.
Okay.
And is it as bad as people probably assume that you're getting calls all the time about every little thing?
Yeah.
Let's walk through that.
So why we're valuable as property managers is because we save people a lot of time. We have systems in place that help that property get on the program really, really fast, and we help with vacancy cost. When you're doing it on your own, it might take a lot longer for you to get the house ready and get up all on like Zillow and everything like that. So we have about 10 web pages that we do like that. So the vacancy cost, we help with that. And what was your first question? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So receiving calls.
Yes.
So like repairs and stuff like that.
We actually, if the home is rental ready, we make the ACs are checked and the maybe like the dishwasher, everything you go through and check before that tenant moves in, and the light for instance, the light bulbs get changed.
Right.
They're not going to call you because everything's ready to go.
Gotcha.
Now, if you have a property that needs some help and love and attention, we have some properties like that say, okay, Mr. Tenant, if you move in, can we fix this 2 months after we get some rent coming in? And they say, you're sure, no problem. For instance, we had a jiggly screen door that wouldn't lock properly.
Right.
Can we fix that in 2 months after we get some rent in? They said, sure, no problem. So as long as you're transparent with that tenant and you kind of see what is going on with the house before they get in, all that is fixable and negotiable.
And so you're going through properties beforehand, go ahead and assessing those issues, making sure that they're dealt with, so that alleviate you some issues down the road.
Oh, absolutely, because we want happy owners and we want happy tenants. And if you take care to do those things ahead of time, then you're definitely going to have a good situation for both parties.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, I'd just like to thank Matt for inviting me out. My name is Cara Griffith with All County Diamond Property Management. We are here local to the area, and if you need a great property manager, we do this from 9 to 5 and on the weekends. So just give us a call, and we're here to help.